What is up, math superstars? This is Objective 7.1, Scientific Notation. Scientific notation is an easy way to write very large and very small numbers. And so here we have this number, it's 4 2/10 times 10 to the 7th power. So in scientific notation, what we do is we're multiplying two different numbers here. And so our first number, you see 4.2. This number right here, this number is always going to be a number between 1 and 10. And our second number is always going to be 10 to the power of a number. So the power can either be positive or negative. If it's a positive number, that number is very large. And if it's a negative power, we know that our number is going to be really small. And so the power here also tells us how many decimal points to move. And so let's go ahead and attempt to write this out. So we're going to start with 4.2. And our power is telling us we're going to move 7 decimal places to the left. And so in order to write this number, we're going to move our decimal point 7 places to the left. Here's how we do this. So we're just going to start here at a decimal point. We're going to move it over 1 time. So we need to go 7 times. So we need to move it over 2 times. And we add a 0. 3 times and add a 0. 4 times and add a 0. 5 times and add a 0. 6 times and add a 0. And 7 times and add a 0. So 4.2 times 10 to the 7th, when we write it out in standard form, comes out to 42 million. When we write that out in standard form. Once again, the power tells us how many decimal points to move. We started here with our decimal point, and we moved over 7 places. So we moved over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And every time I move my decimal point, if there's no number there, I'm going to add the zeros. So now we're given a number 7,089,000, and we need to write this number in scientific notation. So we know that in scientific notation, it's the product of a number between 1 and 10 multiplied by the power of 10. And so in order to do this, I'm going to rewrite this number, 7,089,000. So in order to figure out this number in scientific notation, we're going to add our decimal point at the end of our number. And we need to move our decimal point to the left until we hit a number that is between 1 and 10. So let's go ahead and move our decimal point over now. Move it over 1 time. 2 times, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. So we moved over 6 times, and so our number in scientific notation will be 7 decimal point 089 times 10. And we moved our decimal point over 6 times, and so our exponent is going to be 6. So when we read this, our new number, or the same number, 7,089,000 written in scientific notation, is going to be 7.89 thousandths times 10 to the 6th power. So now let's take a look at a number here that has a negative exponent. And so the negative exponent is going to tell us that this number is going to be really small. And so the power tells us how many decimal points we're going to move. So -2 is going to tell us that we're going to move 2 spaces in the opposite direction that we did for the positives. And so let's go ahead and rewrite this number, 9.071, and we need to now move this decimal 2 places to the left. And so In order to do this, we start with our decimal, and we're going to move 2 places to the left now, since it's a negative decimal. So move it over 1 place, 2 places, and I need to add my 0. I put my decimal point there. So our number, this number 9.071 times 10 to the negative second power is 0.09071. And so we can tell that scientific notation, it's an easier way to write smaller numbers. So now what happens if you're given this number, 0.000096? So how do we write this in scientific notation? And so we know that in order to write this in scientific notation, it's the product of a number between 1 and 10 and a power 10. So we're going to start with our decimal point. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. 0.00096. And we need to move our decimal point until we create a number that is between 1 and 10. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So we moved over 1, 2 places, 3 places, 4 places, 5 places. So we know that the first number in our scientific notation, we write this, is 9.6 times, now we have a power of 10, and we moved it 6 places to the right. And so since this is a decimal, this is going to be negative 6. So the negative 6 as an exponent tells us that this is a really small decimal. And so in order to write this small decimal in scientific notation, you should come up with 9.6 times 10 to the negative 6 power.